Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and your local witch next door. And today I'm talking about tarot and frogs. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you weren't able to attend live or didn't register in time, you can go ahead and get my tarot card creation full workshop, which includes an hour-long recording with my step-by-step method, examples of the tarot cards I've created, journaling questions, and a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33. The link is in the show notes to purchase that now. I'm also going to be offering a 12-week Tarot for Transformation live course this summer, starting at the end of August. If you're interested, there'll be a link in the show notes to sign up for more information. It doesn't commit you to anything at this time, but it'll start giving you info as we lead up to starting. I did just update my Patreon benefits to be bigger and better than ever, so if you want an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast during my New Moon Collective Tarot readings, join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family at the Lovers level for just $6. If you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on their Patreon. If you're local to the Greater Puget Sound area, join us at our next Let's Talk Tarot meetup group event. I just held one last weekend and we had a super fun time pulling cards for each other, talking and learning as we hung out at the old hangout in the Tacoma McMenamins. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and more. And if you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients, so if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. You can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. Alright, so welcome to Season 12, where I'm talking all about tarot and animals. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. In Season 1, I talked tarot basics. In Seasons 2 and 3, I went through all the major arcana cards and the 4 suits. In Season 4, I talked tarot and pop culture. Season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. Season 6, 7, 8, and 9, I went through the suit of wands, pentacles, swords, and cups. Season 10 was all about tarot and witchcraft, and Season 11 was about tarot and plant allies. So like I said, we are now here in Season 12 talking all about tarot and animals, and today I'm talking about tarot and frogs. So I'll go through a description of frogs, we'll talk about symbolism and animal magic, and then we'll get into its relation to the tarot. Alright, so let's talk about frogs. So they are part of a diverse and largely semi-aquatic group of short-bodied, tailless amphibian vertebrates composing the order Anura. Frog species have a rough skin texture. They sometimes have wart-like glands on them. If they do, they tend to be called toads, but the distinction between frogs and toads is informal and purely cosmetic. I did not know that. Frogs are widely distributed from the tropics to subarctic regions, but the greatest concentration of their species diversity is in the tropical rainforest and associated wetlands. Apparently that accounts for 88% of extant amphibian species and are one of the 5 most diverse vertebrate orders. The oldest fossil of protofrog, which was Triadobactrus is known from the early Triassic of Madagascar, from 250 million years ago. But there's actually something that talks about the divergence from other amphibians, might actually even go back to 265 million years ago. So frogs are very old. They have been around for a long time. Adult frogs have a stout body. They have eyes that protrude out of their body, an anteriorly attached tongue, right? If we've ever, watched cartoons about frogs, they sort of unfold or like undo their tongue to catch insects. Their tongue is attached at the back of their mouth. Their limbs fold underneath them, and they have no tail. That's what the order, like when we talk about genus, order, phylum, kingdom, all those, their order is literally called without tail. So that is like a primary feature. What else? Frogs have granular skin where they can secrete things through their skin, which it says ranges from distasteful to toxic. So this helps them not get eaten, obviously, if they can secrete things that make them not very tasty. Their skin varies in color, usually for camouflage, so from brown to green, gray, sometimes bright red or yellow or black to show toxicity and ward off predators. Adult frogs live in both freshwater and on dry land, and some of the species are adapted for living underground or even in trees, like tree frogs. We actually have tree frogs where I live, which is very cool. Their skin is semi-permeable, so this makes them very susceptible to dehydration. So they mostly need to live in moist areas, even when they're in like a drier habitat. They do a lot of vocalization, so it says particularly during breeding season, and they do have lots of different behaviors that they exhibit to attract mates, to fend off predators, and to survive. Frogs typically spawn their eggs in bodies of water. The eggs then hatch into aquatic larvae called tadpoles, right, which we know do have tails, and they have internal gills, so like for breathing in the water. Some species lay eggs on land, or they bypass the tadpole stage altogether, but most frogs do that. Tadpoles have different diets than adult frogs do, and then the life cycle is completed when they metamorphs into semi-aquatic adults capable of going on land and breathing through lungs instead of through gills, and they do actually gas exchange through their skin. So again, that is that part of that permeable, and also how they secrete things through their skin. Adult frogs usually have a carnivorous diet, so they eat small invertebrates, especially insects, but there are omnivores species that exist, and a few of them feed on plant matter. Frogs generally, again, if you've seen cartoons, they generally seize and ingest their food by putting their tongue out, grabbing it, and then bringing the food back to them and swallowing it whole. It says often they use their eyeballs and their extraocular muscles to help push it down their throat. I didn't know that either. Very interesting. It says that they are an important food source for other predators and a vital part of the food web dynamics of many of the world's ecosystems. There are frogs that are eaten by humans in many cuisines. I know when I lived in Ecuador, I don't really think people ate them there necessarily, but I went to a frog farm when I was traveling in the Amazon rainforest, and they told us that they exported them to the east coast of the Americas. So I guess there's people on the east coast that eat them perhaps in fancy restaurants. What else? Yeah, sometimes this has made them have like declining frog populations. It says global frog populations have declined significantly since the 1950s. More than 1/3 of species are considered to be threatened with extinction, and over 120 are believed to have become extinct since the 1980s. So frogs are not having a good time of it as of late. Probably also because we've gotten rid of a lot of wetland areas. That certainly does not help. Yeah, so about frogs and toads, it says that the use of the common names have no taxonomic justification. It says they're all technically called frogs. And then there are almost like the underneath that umbrella, some are considered toads, but they're all considered frog. Yeah, and it says the use of the term frog in common names usually refers to species that are aquatic or semi-aquatic. They have smooth, moist skin, and generally toad refers to a species that's on land with dry, warty skin. But again, there's sort of like exceptions to the rule, and it sounds like really this has just been a thing that we kind of made up and not necessarily like taxonomically important. They're all considered frogs because they're in this order of being called tailless. And all of this frog information is coming from the frog Wikipedia page, so I'll have that linked in the show notes. Yeah, we'll stop there for now. So let's think about symbolism and animal magic associated with frogs. So if we think about that, frogs are, especially because of what we know about their life cycle and starting as eggs in the water and then becoming tadpoles often, and then losing their tails and growing legs and getting bigger and moving to land predominantly. Frog meaning and symbolism is associated with transformation, adaptability, and renewal. It says embrace change, emotional healing, and creative growth as you navigate life's transitions. And this is on Tanya Castile.com. I'll have it linked in the show notes as well. They have different symbolism for animals on their website. Okay. Yeah, so it helps us learn powerful lessons on how we can navigate changes and challenges in our life. Frogs are masters of metamorphosis, like I said, going from dramatic transformation from egg to tadpole to adult, going from fully aquatic life, like being an egg, breathing underwater, and then moving to land later on. So they really sort of can kind of like move between worlds as well. The transformation process teaches us the value of embracing change even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. It says, just as the frog moves fluidly between environments, we too must learn to flow with the transitions in our own lives, trusting that change leads to growth. For example, when facing a major life shift like a career change or personal transformation or moving, we can look to the frog as a reminder that our starting point will rarely resemble our end point. The key is to remain open and adaptable, allowing ourselves to evolve in unexpected ways. Frogs are also closely tied to water, which is symbolic of emotions, cleansing, and healing. Their croaking calls can often be heard before rainstorms, leading to an association with calling in the rain that cleanses the earth and renews life. Their connection to water encourages us to engage with our emotional landscape, allowing for emotional release and healing when needed. Just as water flows and cleanses, we are reminded to let our emotions flow rather than resist or bottle them up. Frogs' ability to thrive in both water and on land symbolizes the importance of balancing our emotional and practical lives. We must learn to navigate the depths of our emotions, right, metaphorically water, while staying grounded in reality on land. For instance, after experiencing a challenging emotional situation, we can take time to process and release our feelings, emerging refreshed and ready to move forward with clarity. In addition to its association with transformation and emotions, frogs are also a symbol of fertility, abundance, and creativity. During the spring and summer months, frogs become highly active, mostly I would say because of their warmer They breed in abundance, contribute to the cycle of life. And it says it's not just about physical fertility, but also about creativity and new beginnings. Frogs inspire us to embrace our creative instincts and allow our ideas and dreams to take form. Much like the frog's life cycle, our creative endeavors often go through multiple stages of development. An idea may start out small, like a tadpole, and transform over time into something completely different as it matures. We are encouraged to be flexible with how our ideas and dreams evolve, letting go of rigid expectations and trusting that the process of growth will lead to unexpected and fruitful outcomes. Furthermore, frogs are highly sensitive to sound and vibration. They use their croaks and calls to communicate with their surroundings and to attract mates. Their sensitivity in this symbolizes the importance of communication and expression in our own lives. Frogs reminds us to use our voices effectively, whether that's in personal relationships, creative expression, and to be mindful of the vibrations we send out into the world. Just as the frog's call can resonate across large distances, our words and actions have the power to affect those around us. By being intentional with how we communicate, we can create positive ripples that extend beyond ourselves. How lovely. And again, this is from TanyaCastillos.com, talking about frog symbolism, about transformation. All right. So, yeah, I looked up frogs and tarot cards, and I actually couldn't find any frogs depicted in my decks, unless I'm missing them, but I have 10 decks now, and I didn't have any frogs in any of them. So, we went with sort of more of a symbolic interpretation of the frog. So there is... and on partingthemists.com, they talk about there's a frog spirit card in the Spirit Animal Oracle by author Colette Baron-Reed and artist Jenna Della Grottaglia. And that frog spirit is about clearing out the clutter, which I thought was interesting, which I think often goes along with transformation. So it says the message is that the frog spirit knows that while all the other frogs are croaking away, this is a time for you to simplify and declutter your life so you can feel content on your own lily pad. Even when life isn't creating a total cacophony, we can become drawn to the excitement of lots of noise. Then the next thing we know, our schedules and homes are cluttered with commitments we regret making and objects that take up valuable space. Even relationships need decluttering as they often become messy. The frog spirit appears to tell you to clean house, prioritize what you need, and get rid of or give away the rest so you can have some space in your day and in your heart. You don't need the old stuff and its stories shouting at you about the past. Along with the physical clutter, friendships are sometimes kept long past their expiration date, weighing you down with unnecessary baggage. Now is the time to let go. Whatever you need will appear when you need it, so relax your grip on all that clutter that is making you feel anxious and burdened. Frog wants you to reclaim your space unencumbered by shoulds, oughts, and could have beens. Let go and jump. You are free from all of the old stuff. So the protection message that comes through in this deck says, what's weighing you down? Is it time for a spiritual and psychic cleansing? Are you overdue for letting go of the voices that surround you? They may have started to get into your head, the voices that bog you down and keep you from leaping forward in a better situation. Let others croak and create their own dramas while you make space for yourself and for sharing your own thoughts as they arise. Declutter your schedule. Stop trying to do it all and then some. Let others manage their own baggage rather than allowing it to be dumped on you, for our lily pads need to be clear of others' clutter. There's also a message coming through about the physical space. So do you hold on to things because you're afraid of losing your energetic connection to the past, to people who are no longer in your life, or to goals you never pursued? Or could you have these items around because you would feel guilty if you got rid of them? Are your storage and living spaces stuffed with reminders of what you are not, when they should be holding only objects that reflect who you are and aspire to be? If something is no longer making you joyful, joyful, empowered, and excited. Frog is telling you to let go and free yourself, to leap forward into something new, trusting you will always have what you need. Which is a lovely message for today. All right, so yeah, like I said, there weren't any, I didn't have any tarot cards that specifically depicted frogs. So when I was looking it up, I saw that frogs are associated with the Wheel of Fortune tarot card because of the sort of transformation and like with renewal that might be associated with the Wheel of Fortune. So I did pull 3 of my Wheel of Fortune cards from different decks. So in the Ophidia Rosa Tarot deck by Leela and Olive, we have the Wheel of Fortune here. It's depicted almost as this like natural crown that's woven with vines and flowers, and then around it we have snakes and a crescent moon here. In my newest deck, the Herb Crafters Tarot, which is artwork done by Joanna Powell Colbert and written by Letitia Guthrie. I pulled the Wheel of Fortune in there, and here it is the kitchen garden. So it depicts a bunch of herbs. I see chives and oregano and basil, and some other herbs in there. So again, it would be like sort of going out into your yard and having all of your herbs or everything you need for the kitchen in one space. And it is in this wheel. And then we have the Desert Illuminations Tarot deck by Lindsay D. Williams depicts the Wheel of Fortune almost as so there's a snake on here, there's also birds and horseshoes and a bat, and then we sort of see this wheel that very much is representative of like the game show Wheel of Fortune in the middle. So I am going to pull that tarot deck guidebook because I'm curious what they say about the Wheel of Fortune there. Let's see. Yes, it says a fancy and mysterious Wild West croupier spins a roulette wheel accompanied by animals and symbols that represent all the different aspects of the universe that can be randomly served up. As the wheel turns, where will the pill land? Will it bring luck, despair, success, misfortune? It is all a gamble in the game of life. The Wheel of Fortune serves as a symbol that life continues to cycle through periods of darkness and through fortune or misfortune. You only have so much control over what the universe will throw your way. The good news is that you can adapt and react to these situations however you see fit. So like the frog, right, we're being adaptable. We're thinking about cycles and that sort of, we're always going through a cycle. It's not that it's always good or it's always bad, but that things are kind of always changing. And in the Herb Crafters Tarot, talking about the kitchen garden that is depicted as the Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to grab that tarot deck guidebook as well. Okay. It says, put your faith in the turning of the wheel, stay centered in the midst of change, and find the medicine unique to every season. The promise of the garden is change. Events may unfold that redirect your path. Some things may feel beyond your control. Find the larger pattern in the chaos. The holy days mark the revolving cycles of nature. They may bring disruption, but they are always reliably in forward motion. When your soul compass spins, find stillness and experiences that easily allow you to be yourself. Trust life to come into being as the plants always do. There is transformation in each turn of the wheel. What emerges from this development will point you to your true north. And then earlier in the description, it talks about what plants are in this wheel that is depicted. So they say bay, planted for Yule, parsley for Candlemas, violet for Austera, chives for Beltane, lemon, verbena for summer solstice, basil for Lammas, sage for autumn equinox, and onion for Hallows. At the center of the garden is a compass rose. So again, in this like transformation, right, cyclical nature, very much associated with frogs, which makes sense to me there too. All right, let's go ahead and dive in and see what the cards have to say on this topic. Frogs, what message do you have for us today? I'm going to pull from the Citadel, a Fantasy Oracle by Fen Inkwright, and see what we can learn from the frogs. All right, so again, this is the Citadel, a Fantasy Oracle by Fen Inkwright. It's a beautiful oracle deck here. I'm going to give it a quick shuffle or two as I think about what messages frogs have for us. How do we adapt? How do we transform? How do we allow for cycles and things are always changing and not get caught up in our own rigidity or desire for sameness? I pulled the Fate, which says it's about accepting help and guidance. Okay. I have not pulled this one before. This is fun. Okay. Oh, interesting. Talks about the garden. It says the court gardens stretch out before you, alive with the sound of bird song. A couple passes in the distance, their laughter faint and cheerful. The sun, encompassed in its blue sky, warms the world all around you. All is peaceful, and yet you feel as though you are being watched. The Fate sees everyone, sees their lives like shining threads, weaving the tapestry of life. The Fate sees each person's beginning and when and where their stories end. They're sworn not to interfere when those threads get tangled, but they can still offer some insight here and there. Some unexpected help is due to come your way. You may not be able to see what causes your struggles or know of those who plot against you, but others can, and they won't let you face it uninformed. This guidance may come from an unexpected source, so look out for signs that will guide you in the right direction. Okay, so the frogs and Fate will be guiding us right now. We're going to be looking out for anyone that's going to be trying to help us or anything, that's kind of protecting us right now. All right, so in closing, if you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, click on the link in the show notes to indicate your interest in getting more info. We'll be working together for 12 weeks of calls and journaling to discover what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot. Links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.